Nel, nagkakong saro. Iyo, si isa inda kung si Say paigaw padigding gusto nervyoson. Magkape. Please all stand. Honorable Cecilia Bebelus, the City Vice Mayor and Presiding Officer present. Roll call on the City Councilors. Honorable Hildia Rosales present. Honorable Usilito S. L. Rosario absent. Honorable
on quarantine. Councilor Lito is on quarantine. Councilor Albios and Councilor Kylie.
Quarantine. Honorable Gregory R. Abunal absent. Honorable Mila Esterquid Arroyo present. Honorable Elmer S. Baltimoro present. Honorable Vidal P. Castillo present. Honorable Salvador M. Castillo present. Honorable Jose Serranyola present. Honorable Josebi Perez present. Honorable Jesse R. Albios on quarantine. Honorable Antonio B. Beltran present. Honorable Mary Kylie Francine B. Tripolca on self-quarantine. Madam Chair, there is a quorum.
The 60th regular session of the 13th Sangguniang Panglunsod is now called to order. Next item.
Pray.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Dear Lord, as we deliberate in today's session, give us the wisdom to overcome passion. Give us that understanding heart to do away with prejudice. Give us the foresight to know what the future may devise. Give us the courage and strength to seek the truth in what is good. Give us the facility of language that we may be understood. And finally, our Lord, make us worthy public servants of the city we deeply love and highly honor. Naga City, the heart of Bicol. Amen.
Next item.
Pambansang awit.
Alab ng puso, sa hindi ko ay buhay, pambihira, kaya ka nang magiting sa mundo. Di ka pasisigil, kalagat at sa siyon, sa langit pumura, may ilagang pula, awit sa layo lamahan, ang isang lawa, awan ka, may nanandinig, ang ituwing na tatandakay, may nabibig, tuwalang araw na kawan at ipagsikat, buhay langit sa piling mo. Ang bigaya na pa, may mga api, at mawatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Again, good morning everyone. Welcome back. We'd like to acknowledge the presence of the Punong Barangay at Barangay San Francisco, and friend of Pomoseno, and the Barangay Treasurer Leslie Kakogia. The next item.
Privilege time.
Anybody who'd like to avail of the privilege time? None? Okay, next item.
Reading and approval the order of business.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam
Honorable
Chair,
Valdemoro.
may I move to dispense the reading of the order of business with the following inclusion. Item number 1 of the special business or order is a letter from the City Mayor requesting for an audience with the members of the Sanggunian pertaining to the meeting with LPD Lending Investor Corporation. The CEPIO already arranged a Zoom meeting for schedule in today's session or right after the session at the pleasure of the members of the Sanggunian. Another, Madam Chair, item number 2, the special business or order, also a letter from the city administrator requesting to include in today's special business or order the manners and the powers and duties of the governing board of the City College of Naga. Another, Madam Chair, item number 3 of the special business or order is the resolution expressing the deepest condolences of the 13th Sangguniang Panglungsod and officialdom of the City of Naga to the bereaved family of Dominic Sanduco, a colleague in the City Government of Naga and former Barangay Kagawad of Abella. Under unfinished business, Madam Chair, item number 3, the unfinished business, is the committee report of the Committee on Appropriation. Item number 4 is the letter from the Office of Senior Citizens Affairs pertaining to their proposed organizational chart. Item number 5 is a letter from the City Mayor pertaining to the Ordinance number 2020-082 requesting for the amendment of the proposed ordinance. Item number 6 is the letter from the Naga City People's Council submitting the certification and report of the concluded public presentation of the proposed 2021 annual investment plan of the City Government of Naga. And lastly, Madam Chair, under new business, item number 4 is the endorsement from the City Budget Office submitting the annual budget of the Sangguniang Kabataan o Barangay Tabuco for the year 2020. I so move for its approval, Madam Chair.
Any second? Okay, before the approval, Honorable Miles Sakidaroya, Ms. Datan.
With the indulgence of the Committee on Rules, may I move for inclusion the memorandum of agreement signed between the Naga City Urban Poor Federation and the city mayor for their 2020 appropriation. The matter has been tackled in the committee, Madam Chair. There was only one correction that they have to make, and I believe they have already submitted. So may I request from the Secretary, Madam Chair, to check whether the submission has been made, and if yes, that we tackle the same already. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Mr. Secretary, did they submit the said
Madam Chair, as item number 7 of the unfinished business.
on item number 7?
Of the unfinished business.
Okay, from the Naga City, MOA. Okay, agenda is approved as amended. Next item, I'd like to acknowledge the presence of the Honorable Gregorio Abunat. Next item,
Madam Chair,
Honorable Valdemoro.
may I seek reconsideration of the order of business, Madam Chair? I was thinking that the annual SK budget of Barangay Tabuco is for 2021. Since it is for the year 2020, may I request the transfer from new
SBO.
business to special business or order as item number 4.
Number 4, item number 4.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, approved. Next.
Order of business, special business or order. The letter dated September 28, 2020 of the Honorable City Mayor with respect to the arranged Zoom meeting with LPD Lending Investor Corporation to enable the SP members to ask questions with respect thereto, Madam Chair.
What is the pleasure of the Sanggunian? Would you like to tackle it now or
Madam Chair,
during the break?
may I move for the suspension of the rules and let the city administrator to explain to us.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Valdemoro. The rules are suspended. The city administrator is requested.
Information that we have conveyed to that person, LPD lending investor, is for 9 to 10, actually it's I think 10 a.m. to 11, but we can inform them na mas maamay si pagsingit sa iya sa session. Anyway, nakaset up na po si Zoom. You're just waiting for his acceptance of our account para po makapuo na. Baka pwede pong i-defer mo na.
Can we defer this first and tackle the other matters in the agenda? Since it's not ready yet, they're not ready yet. So can we defer the first item? Okay, next item.
The letter dated September 29, 2020 from the acting city administrator with respect to the powers and duties of the governing board of the City College of Naga through an appropriate amendment of Ordinance 2015-011.
Okay, Honorable Abunal, Committee on Education, you don't do anything. May we request again the city administrator, Mr. Konag, the college. So it will be the city administrator, since the request is from your office. The rules are still suspended.
Madam Chair, this refers to the request of the evaluators of City College of Naga that the powers and duties of the governing board should be in ordinance form rather than just being included in the college code. On this matter, Madam Chair, I would yield to Dr. Magno Conag to better explain this request.
Dr. Konag of the City College of Naga, you are recognized.
Good morning, everyone. We requested for the amendment of the previous ordinance referring to the duties and functions of the Board of Trustees of the CCN. We already integrated in the college code all powers and duties and functions of the board. However, the CHED evaluators requested us to submit in a form, in an ordinance form, lifting all the powers of the board under CMO 32, number 4, series of 2007. Accordingly, the duties and functions of the board under the CCN code were inconsistent. But as we reviewed, all of those were already included, although in another way of writing it. So, for purposes of compliance, we are requesting the SP to pass an ordinance lifting or adopting all the powers of the board under the CMO, which was issued in 2007. Hopefully, this is the last document that we can submit to the CHED. Our apology for many times you are asking your assistance, because the findings and recommendations were given to us in piecemeal submission given to us. In other words, even if we have submitted some documents, but still they put it in another findings, separating from the other. For example, the positions that were created by the board, by the SP, were not appreciated, although we have submitted already all the documents to the evaluators of the CHED. That's all, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Tonas.
Yes.
Honorable Abunal first, and then Honorable Del Castillo.
Here, may we know whether the CCN code as presented has already been approved by the Sanggunian?
Yeah, the CCN code was only approved by the Board of Trustees.
But by the Sanggunian?
But for the Sanggunian, it was not yet submitted. Because we did that before for purposes of submission. So we were at the helm of submission. That's why we did it earlier.
In other words, what we're saying is we would like to submit these as a new ordinance.
Yes.
Yeah, in which case, do you have a deadline from the evaluator?
Supposed to be the deadline was October, but yet we appealed to the CHED because some of our documents submitted were not appreciated all. And therefore, we have submitted everything, the last 8 documents, but again returned with similar findings of the previous year, that was in October, that they did not appreciate many of our documents. So we made an appeal.
Madam Chair, this being a first submission, properly I think the Committee on Education may have to go through this, because this is a submission for a new ordinance. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Gregorio Abunal. So may we refer this?
Yes, Madam Chair,
Okay.
our
Mr.
request was an amendment to the original ordinance when the CCN was created. There were some functions. It is not really a new ordinance separate from the previous one. There was already an ordinance before when CCN was created.
Yes, to pass another ordinance. CHED recommend. Because it's a new matter. Okay. So, Honorable Del Castillo, you were raising your hand?
Karoon na malisangwa para madali ito pag-aral kanina. I think we should be given time to study what is being proposed so that we can come up with an objective decision on the matter. Aron kani, dahil pa nga ni Aram, ano si iraralaog sa ordinansa. So I think it should be referred first to the appropriate committee so that the committee can tackle it and report it to the Sangguniang Panglisod. I'm not comfortable of passing an ordinance for the first time that it was presented, Madam Chair.
Thank
Madam
you,
Chair.
Honorable Del Castillo. Honorable Mayor Secretario.
Yes, we understand the urgency of the matter, in which case, therefore, it's very important that we should be able to tackle this matter immediately. But passing this now or disapproving this now would also, we will have no sufficient basis. Importante, Madam Chair, that we should really be able to look at this concerning especially the authority we are giving the governing board. Very important po yan because it's actually a delegation, no? And we don't even know whether we can do certain things there because like one of the thing that I saw as power of the board, conferment of honorary degree. I believe it's policy issue, Madam Chair, considering that the City College of Naga is an instrumentality of the city government. So, dapat igwang authority ang sanggunian there to review kung si isay ba ang kukonforma ng honorary degree. Is an honor being bestowed to someone, therefore it's a policy issue. Ano ang mga criteria the sanggunian must be able to determine. So, it's very important. It's a very important document, Mr. Konyag, and therefore we should really look at it first before the sanggunian passes it or disapproves it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Madam
Thank
Chair,
you, Honorable
may I say
Mayor.
something?
Okay, Dr. Conag.
We had been given time by the CHED to submit these documents. And I appreciate for the action that we are going to study, or the Sanggunian would study. However, we are only given 1 week until Friday. I would say that if we defer that, and probably we lost our Unifast, which is a subsidy to our students. If ever that happens, it would be a big amount from the city to finance the more or less 11 million. So I suggest if we could, with the indulgence of the members of the SP, that we could do it as early as possible, and then we submit that without hassle of appealing for the next time. Otherwise, we lost that one.
Thank you, Dr. Conag. But before that, you were raising your hand, Councilor Baldemoro.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My question is already answered that the
By Dr.
deadline
Conag.
is on Friday.
Yes.
And if we cannot amend the provision of that ordinance, at stake is the grant of how much?
Unifast, that's almost
Per
11
student.
million.
Yes.
11 million.
That's
So
given to the students.
maybe, Madam Chair, for the purpose of further studying this matter, may I, if the members of the Sanggunian is willing to temporarily defer this matter, but we will tackle this before our end
Before
of
the
session,
session ends.
due to the urgency of the matter. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you, Honorable Baldemoro. There was a motion by the Honorable Abunal that we refer this first to his committee. May I give the floor to the Honorable Del Castillo since he was the first to raise his hand.
I think the City Government of Naga, through the City College of Naga, was already notified of this issue beforehand. Dapat ko tapig pa isin na kita. I will makulog ko ta sa talinga pagdahugon ba ng sir, but we should remind everybody that this Sangguniang Palunsod is not a rubber stamp. Pag sinabing ipasaran sa bagay, ipapasar. We should be given the time to study. And kita dapat pigpaparamadali. I think kung si primerong instant pinaisin na kita, Natapos na kuta ni. Bakong sasabihan kita ngunyan, we will lose 11 million. To the hell of that. Dapat pinaisin na kita beforehand. We should not be treated like that.
Pero as I understand from
Madam Chair?
from Dr. Konag, that requirements was only done by after the evaluation team had made their
That was,
recommendation.
we
So
received-
dagdag na lang ini yun na hinagad kang ano?
We received the findings just last Friday.
Yes.
That was the last. Yes. But I appreciate, Madam Chair, if we are sorry, I'm apologetic to what's happening. Although it is not my own doing, but we are just following what CHED is requiring.
Okay, thank you,
Thank you.
Dr. Konag. Honorable Abunal.
I am reminded of something like mga 15 years ago when there was this proposition to partially for the government to partially subsidize the private schools. Nag-object daw po ang private schools dyan. Taano, momento ngayang pigsusubsidize kita, kung ano-ano na sana ngayang mga requirement kayan, napapasunod dun kita. Basically, that's it. Now, in this particular case, dahil under kita kang CHED, pag sabi nindang dapat pula, pula ang gagamitin ta. Pag sabi nindang give us this data, itatao ta yan. Imagine dangling 11 million pesos sa bako sa lang so 11 million kundi so education kang so many students. Requirement na sa Friday na naman, itinaong Friday, rini-require another Friday. Siguro dapat mag-communicate man kita that the Sanggunian operates on a weekly basis. And the soonest action could be next Tuesday, not this Friday. In the case, Madam Chair, may committee hearing pong education sa AGA on the recommendation on the proposed ordinance ni Councilor Del Rosario, but because of COVID, bako man sa may COVID sinda, kundi epekto na po yan kaya Councilor Del Rosario and Councilor Kylie Tripulca will not be available, so kino-call off mi ko ta na. But kung urgent niyo, we can proceed with the committee hearing tomorrow on this matter, no longer on the original matter. But that means that committee action lang yan tomorrow, Madam Chair. Ang ordinance as required may have to come only after Tuesday next week. Thank you, Madam Chair.
On Tuesday. Okay, Honorable Maricel Arroyo.
Chair, like I said, we should act on the matter expeditiously. However, on the recommendation of the Honorable Baldimoro that we tackled it today, I don't think we really have sufficient time para basahon even and understand. Mas maray siguro tawanan kitang at least until the next Tuesday to finally pass it. Kasi pwedeng mag-emergency meeting ang Committee on Education, or we can even set an emergency or a special meeting just for this. But definitely bakong ngunyan, nadita pa nga ni nababasa, considering that it is an addendum in the agenda. Mayo po siya sa pinadara sa tuya. We have not really seen it, and it's an ordinance, and it's not an ordinary ordinance na appropriations na aram talang gura. No, saan gagamiton, and then we can decide. So I hope Mr. Gonag understands. In fact, we should take a position as a city na pag-aral po ka importanteng document, mag-react po kita pag tinataonan kitang 5 aldaw lang to formulate and pass it. Kaya po ang kwarta, ang assistance kang national government, but we're serious also like they are, na mapakarayan sa itong trabaho. Like na po, pwedeng ipasarungon yan.
It's alright.
Tawanan po kita within this week. By Tuesday, I believe, we can already pass it. But definitely not now. It's the first time we're looking at this document. We haven't even read it, Madam Chair. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Maricel. There was a proposal of the Honorable Abunal that this be referred to the Committee on Education. Any second to that motion? Okay, approved. Mr.
Thank you, Madam
Konag, kindly Kung pwede pong maipaabot sa CHED ang kang city. But definitely ma-actionan po in the next session. Thank you. Next item.
The proposed resolution of condolences to the bereaved family of the late Dominic Palmiano Sando.
On joint and collective motion. Joint and collective. Next item.
The annual budget of the Sangguniang Kabataan of Barangay Tabuco.
Honorable Rosales, Chair of the Committee on Appropriation.
This pertains to the 10% budget of the Sangguniang Kabataan of Barangay San Francisco amounting to 570,391 pesos and 60 cents. Yes, Tabuco, Barangay Tabuco. And the details of which have already been submitted. So may I move for its approval.
Any second? Okay, approved.
On joint and collective
It's
motion.
resumed. Next item.
Unfinished business, the committee report to the Committee on Transport.
We will render the committee that the Vice Chair, Honorable Del Castillo.
Madam Chair, in behalf of the chairman of the Committee on Transport, I will be rendering the report of the committee for the committee hearing held on September 20. So I move for the acknowledgement of the report, Madam Chair. Thank you, Madam Chair. We have 4 items. Item number 1 is later dated August 10, 2020 of Mr. Anthony Nacion, Zone 1, Balatas, Naga City, requesting to hold any purchase, mortgage, or surety of tricycle with body numbers 1043, 0156, 0881, and 0841. Disposition. As has been clarified, that any private property that will be sold, transferred, or for any mode of transaction, particularly a tri-mobile unit, the government will never interfere into such transaction being a private affair. The only interference that it can do is with regard to the franchise. Its grant is only a privilege, and for any violation that the grantee will commit will result for its cancellation and revocation. So, motion of this representation, seconded by Honorable Albius, the body resolved to recommend to the Sangguniang Palansod to request the head of the Tri-Mobile Task Force to write Mr. Antonio and the Nacion of Zone 1, Balatas, Naga City, to appear within 15 days from the receipt of the letter thereof to elucidate on his request. Otherwise, failure to show up, the Sangguniang will take note of this matter. So, I move, Madam Chair, that we direct the head of the Tri-Mobile Task Force to inform Mr. Anthony and the Nacion regarding this matter.
Any second to the motion?
Item number 2, 3 and 4 was taken simultaneously, Madam Chair. And item number 2 is later dated September 21, 2020 of Mr. Precioso Cornejo, Vice President, Insipituda, requesting clearance for the filling of application for franchise in the acceptance of requirements to be submitted by the members of the association. And number 3, later received by the Sangguniang Palansod on September 17, 2020 of Ms. Isbitlana Benito of Barangay San Felipe, applying for
Itong sa ano yan? Oo, sa
franchise for 8 right. And item number 4 is later dated June 15, 2020 of Miss Virginia Wisa of Barangay San Felipe, Naga City, requesting for an 8-right franchise. Disposition. On motion of this representation, duly seconded by Honorable Albius, the body resolved to recommend to the Sangguniang Panlungsod to request the PSO in the PNP to confiscate the remaining plates of the 4 grantees who failed to renew their franchise within the given period of 45 non-extendable days and whose units were impounded. And further, resolved to request the Tri-Mobile Task Force to write all pending applicants for e-trike units for the available vacant slot if they are still interested. Otherwise, their names will be delisted from the waiting list. So there are 2 dispositions, Madam Chair. First, the directive to the PSO in the PNP to confiscate the body plates of those 4 Tri-Mobile units confiscated by the city due to violation of existing ordinances. So move, Madam Chair.
Any second? Approved.
And the second request is for the Tri-Mobile Task Force to inform all applicants with pending application, reminding them if they are still interested in pursuing their application for Tri-Mobile franchise.
Any
Move,
second
Madam
to
Chair.
the motion? Okay, the Tri-Mobile Task Force is so directed.
That ends my report, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Honorable Del Castillo. Next item.
The letter dated September 21, 2020 of Mr. Ferdinand Sia, President, Metro Naga Chamber of Commerce and Industry, requesting review of Ordinance Number 2020-060, specifically Sections 1 and 2 thereof.
Was this tackled by a particular committee? The said request? About the group drinking, our ordinance on group drinking? Can we refer to the Committee on Laws and Ordinances? Next item.
The report to the Committee on Appropriations.
Honorable Rosales, Chair of the Committee on Appro.
May I request, may I move for the acknowledgement of the report of the Committee on Appropriations.
Your report is acknowledged.
The committee meeting was held yesterday, September 28. There was no quorum, so may I move for the conversion of the Sangguniang as a committee of the whole.
The Sangguniang Panlungsod is now convened as a committee of the whole.
Only 2 items were taken up. The first item, the first endorsement dated September 17, 2020, from the City Budget Officer forwarding the annual budget of Barangay San Francisco involving the amount of 4,007,788 pesos. This is the annual budget for 2021 of Barangay San Francisco. The details of which I believe there was an increase of about 200,000 pesos in the annual budget of Barangay San Francisco, which is attributed to the increase of their personal services amounting to 130,860, and a decrease in their maintenance and other operating expenses amounting to 44,459 pesos and 83 cents, and there is no capital outlay. May I move for the approval of their annual budget?
Any second? Okay, approved.
Second item, Madam Chair, that
Okay, Honorable Valdemoro.
The interruption of report, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, may I move on joint and collective motion to give resolution of commendation to Barangay San Francisco for being the first barangay to submit their annual budget for 2021. Yes po.
2021 na ini?
Yes po, the first barangay to submit this early.
Oh, very good. So we would like to commend
joint and collective.
the punong barangay of San Francisco. He is here. First barangay to submit an annual budget for 2021. On joint and collective motion?
And Madam Chair, to be awarded in the flag ceremony.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam.
May we inform the punong barangay and the treasurer and also the council to be present during the on Monday sa flag ceremony. Ayan. Thank you and congratulations. Okay, next item.
The second and last item, Madam Chair, is a letter dated September 14, 2020 of Mr. Hernani Suron, requesting for the passage of a resolution authorizing the charging against the current budget of the ESO, the payment for the purchase of voice recorder being used in the school board meetings. The amount of which is being requested to be charged in the current budget is amounts to 7,950 pesos to be charged in the MOE of the current budget of the ESO. May I move for the authority to be given to charge against the current budget of the ESO the payment for the purchase of voice recorder used in the school board meeting, chargeable against the current budget of the ESO.
Any second? Okay, approved.
That ends my report.
Thank you, Honorable Rosales. Next item.
The letter dated September 28, 2020 from the Program Director of OSCA, Mr. Jimmy Reblando, submitting their structural organization.
Okay, Committee on Laws and Ordinances. Mayo pa siya, no? Next item.
The letter dated September 28, 2020 from the Honorable City Mayor with respect to Ordinance Number 2020-082 adopting the COVID-19 containment project, harnessing barangay volunteer frontline workers, authorizing the grant of honorarium and providing funds for the purpose. Requesting for amendment. Madam.
So, kay Honorable Baldemoro.
Madam Chair, may I move for the suspension of the rules and invite the City Budget Officer.
Okay, and Mr. Frank Mendoza, rules is suspended. City Budget Officer.
Thank you. This refers to the compensation of barangay volunteers which since I think it's March, then na po sila natataan because of an audit observation memorandum prohibiting such payment. So our solution was to pass an ordinance wherein we harness those barangay volunteers as implementers of city government programs. Iyon na po yan, Ordinance Number 2020-082. Ang original title po is an ordinance adopting the COVID-19 containment project, harnessing barangay volunteer frontline workers, authorizing the grant of honoraria, and providing funds for the purpose. Kang pig-review po yan sa accounting, aragi mo na po si mga boatser, nawara itong funding provision. So ang sabi ni Ma'am Ching, yaon nga sa title pero may sa body. Ang I recall during the deliberation, itong original proposal had that provision, kaya lang ang stand ka sanggunian, since it's a charge man lang naman sa dating source, no need. Di lang kaya natanggal siya sa title. So at any rate, just to resolve the issue, bugtakanta na lang, we are proposing that we put a provision on funding wherein it states that the existing balance of appropriation under special purpose appropriation, barangay essential services, under the current budget, be repurposed to become the source of fund for this ordinance. Para lang maanang question ang accounting office.
Mag-conform lang sa request kang budget of kang fund. Okay. Any motion? Miss. Honorable Del Casillo.
Word is that the fund to cover the grant of such allowance shall be taken out of the existing appropriation for barangay essential services. Dahil ko komportable ka nagubugtak ng repurpose.
we yield to
I
the...
think that's more appropriate that the fund, that the allowances or honoraria covered under this ordinance shall be charged against the existing appropriation for barangay essential services under the 2020 annual budget.
So that's the motion?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay, on motion of Honorable Del Castillo. Okay, Honorable Miles Secretary, ano comment? Remark?
Yes.
Against the... That's precisely the motion of the Honorable Del Castillo. So on the motion of Honorable Del Castillo, seconded by? On joint and collective motion.
Thank you po.
Thank you, Mr. Mendoza. Next item.
The letter dated September 28, 2020 from the Naga City People's Council submitting the certification and report of concluded public presentation of the proposed annual investment for the year 2021.
Committee on Approach. Committee on Approach. Next item.
The memorandum of agreement between the city and the Naga City Urban Poor Federation.
Honorable Miles Secretary.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I move for inclusion of this agenda because Mr. said that the informed that they have already submitted a revised budget. But in this document that we have, Madam Chair, the original question of the committee, which is budget still being allocated for trainings, celebration of the Urban Poor Federation anniversary, which are all in our present budget limited even for the city government. So that's why they said that they will revise it, that there's no revised submission yet. In the previous detail supporting the supposedly revised budget, the activities are still there. So, may I move that we just recalendar the matter in the next session to clarify which or where is that alleged revised budget that they have submitted. So I move, Madam Chair, for deferment into the next session.
And also to write Mr. Ludovic.
And I think we should invite them to be sure that they know what they are manifesting before the Sanggunian.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Secretary. This matter is deferred for the next session and to invite the federation, the officers of the Naga City Urban Federation. Next item.
New business, endorsement dated September 24 from the Trimobile Task Force endorsing the application for transfer of Trimobile franchise.
Referred to Committee on Transport.
The letter dated September 24 po ng Barangay Rodrigo Agravante of Cararayan submitting ordinance 2020-01 establishing and approving the Barangay Tertiary Scholarship Program.
Committee on Education and Laws and Ordinances.
The letter dated September 25 from the City Planning and Development Officer submitting the technical evaluation completed by Engineer Emiterio L. Aman for policy application for the proposed Hacienda Cyber Park Commercial Subdivision.
Committee on Land Use. Next item.
Nominal.
Other matters? Garo na.
Okay na yun?
Hey, how about can we go back to item number 1 of the special business or order? Yaw na? Okay. Let's go back to item number 1 of the special business or order.
The Zoom meeting with the LPD lending investor portrait.
Pwedeng mag-snack. Gutom na ko. May iwan snack. Iwan niya snack. Abot tayo. Ayun na oh. Okay, Mr. Mendoza.
Good morning, Jan. Good morning po again. We have invited Mr. Jose Francisco, who is the manager of the LPD lending, who is proposing to lend to the city government so much amount as we may borrow at a rate of 0.5% per annum. And said amount would be deposited either in Land Bank or DBP, from which they would collect the payment for the loan after 15 years. Now, as requested by some members of the Sanggunian, Mr. Francisco is now here to respond to any question. But before that, maybe we can ask Mr. Francisco if he could brief the Sanggunian again as to the nature of the loan. Mr. Francisco, can you hear us?
We cannot hear.
Mic test.
Sound.
Sir Emoy, can you speak just to check the audio?
Can you hear me?
Ayun pa.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Nadadamo kita?
Hope yata may.
Ha? Garo si Sadak. Aluli.
Sir Emoy, can we do mic test just to check the audio? Negative pa. Pero po naririnig nyo kami. Okay. Pero hindi namin kayo naririnig.
Kaya may diferensya.
Hello, mic test. Hello, mic test. Hello, mic test. Hello.
Hallelujah.
Hello, mic test. Hello. Hello, mic test. Hello, mic test. Hello.
Yes, I can hear. I can hear.
Hindi nadadamo kami.
Naririnig niyo po kami.
Ano naman yung audio nila? Naka-on yung audio nila. Kasi ikaw yung may control. Narinig niyo po kami. Narinig niyo po kami.
Negative pa po, negative pang audio. Sir, mic test ulit.
Hello, mic test.
Ayun.
Yan na, okay na.
Okay na po.
Mic test, mic test. Okay, mic test.
Okay na po. So, Sir Emoy, maybe we could start by you briefing the Sanggunian as to the nature of the loan.
Good morning, Madam Presiding Officer, the honorable members of the Sanggunian Panginoon of Naga. Good morning also to the honorable City Government of Naga City. By the way, before I start let me first introduce myself. I'm Mr. Jose Elmer D. Francisco. I'm the President of DBBC, Project Management Incorporated. We are the official marketing arm of the LTD Lending Investment Corporation, where I am also the authorized representative of the authority of the Federal Funding Institution. Just like together with me is Attorney Gilbert Miranda from our legal office. Yes, just like what City Admin has mentioned, yes, ma'am and sirs, we are offering the City of Naga this stimulus package aiming to help the local government units, especially during this time of pandemic, in order to stimulate their economic activities. So we are offering this finance design bill transfer scheme, the local PPP, or if I may mention it correctly, the local government unit public-private partnership for the people, or LVP, or mode in order to fast-track the infrastructure projects in which the Naga City intends to undertake. So this is a very special opportunity for us to avail of this economic package, where we give, or the funder gives 0.5% fixed rate per annum, payable after 15 years. This is a balloon payment wherein the IRA instrument will be placed for safekeeping in a depository land, whether it is or either land bank, DBB, or other government banking institutions. Mr. Admin.
Madam Chair.
Okay. Mr. Mendoza. Honorable Castillo, Del Castillo. You have the question? Honorable Del Castillo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First, I have some query. The first one is, I understand it will be a public-private partnership. Am I correct?
Yes.
So,
yes, sir.
if it is a PPP, you will be the one who will shoulder all the cost for the construction of the facility that we will be agreed upon, subject to reimbursement later.
Yes, you are correct, technically, honorable councilor.
Okay.
If I'm this one.
So that's
If
that.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair. If I may add, I think the proper legal term is not reimbursement. It's a payment of
No,
I'm sorry. I am Attorney Gilbert Miranda, representing the LTD and investor and the foreign investor.
Yeah, that's why. Because if it's a PPP, it's subject to reimbursement, not payment.
for the exact terminology of it's the recouping of the investments of the private sector.
Yes, I understand. Yes. So that's the reason why you are only charging 0.5% interest per annum.
Yes, partially. And another trend po kasi in the work market right now. Financial news in Europe and in the United States of America, the central banks of both continents are now charging negative interest rates. So from the point of view of the private investor who is managing the fund, they're offering such a very competitive interest rate because the world market right now is offering, almost in any market, is offering a very competitive rate of US 10.
So, what are the projects covered by your proposal?
We are proposing to initiate infrastructure projects right now. Although we can also expand to other livelihood projects, but based on our study, we decided to pursue infrastructure projects right now so that we could generate enough economic activities and job generation in each locality, which is now needed to boost the economy of the Philippines.
So, is a construction of a new city hospital covered by your proposal?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Del Castillo. Mr. Mendoza?
If I may refresh the previous submission of the executive, ang idea po is that by 2022, we will be getting the so-called windfall from the Internal Revenue allotment arising from the Mandanas case. It's estimated at around 20% of our current era. So that difference would be the one used. Okay, yung pang i-deposito sa, that would be the amount that would be deposited either in Land Bank or DBP for the next 15 years. And from there, that would be the source of the payment of the loan to be extended by LDP. But we have one concern, Sir Emoy and Attorney. The condition is that you would continue, okay, we would continue to deposit the difference, the Mandanas case difference, if we may call it that, the incremental era, to the either Land Bank or DBP. What if the total amount would already cover the cost of the loan? Let's say after 6 years, the total amount that we have deposited to the banks already amounts to say 500 million, and that is the amount of the loan that we borrowed. Are we still obligated to still deposit on the succeeding periods, or can we stop?
You can stop depositing. Technically, you can stop depositing as soon as you have covered the entire cost of the project.
Okay. That would clarify, because our worry is that even if we've already have enough fund in the deposit, we would still be continuing to deposit in the so-called trust account in DBP.
Let me give a background why we got such deposit in the government bank. The government bank will be the one issuing the standby letter of credit, which will be the guarantee that will be given to the private investor. The concern of the issuing bank of the SPSC, which is DBP or Land Bank or whatever government bank we will be dealing with, is for them to be covered for the risk of guarantee for legacy. So from the point of view of the issuing bank of the SPSC, as soon as we have covered their risk, which is up to the amount of the project cost and the interest rates, you can already stop from depositing such additional amounts into the guarantee fund established for the issuing bank.
Okay, thank you. One more. What would happen to the interest that our deposit would earn in the banks? Is that correct?
If I may share a sample spreadsheet so you have an idea. you have an idea of what we are doing. I will share with you a sample spreadsheet so that everybody knows how the payment will be.
Habang naghahalat po kita, ang loan na po sa DBP and Land Bank, ang interest na big offer sa TUI is 3 to 4%. Ang offer kaning financing institution na Mr. Francisco is 0.5% per annum. 0.5. So, assuming 3% ang Land Bank, may savings kitang 2.5%.
Okay, Honorable Marcia Arroyo.
Yes, just a clarification. Of course, we cannot be expected to really scrutinize an offer that we don't have. Okay? Siguro layan ta ang offer na ini, pero mayo man, there's nothing that we're actually looking at on paper. So, how can we really ask questions to clarify, to further understand this offer if there's nothing that is presented before us? So, I will not ask questions pertaining to that, but maybe we can ask questions pertaining to the offeror, so that we are just getting to know one another first. But my first question, Madam Chair, is this a simple offer for extension of loan, to grant a loan, or the offer is also coupled? If I heard Mr. Mendoza right, the offeror will also be the one to undertake the construction projects that will be funded by the loan that will be provided by this offeror. May I just be clarified on that?
Attorney?
Madam Chair, if I may, I think the proper legal procedure that we should be considering is this is actually a finance, bill, and transfer transactions under the public-private partnership. So if you will be technical about it, this is not actually a loan.
It's not actually a loan.
What is it?
What is it?
If we will be technical about it, Madam Chair, it will not be a loan, but it will be under a finance, design, build, and transfer mode under the public and private partnership arrangement.
So therefore, Madam Chair, yes, therefore, we should not evaluate it as against what our loans would cost us from other institutions. That is not a comparison at all. So saying that the loans that we secure from other institutions is earning or is costing us this much interest is not a point at all. No. We have to therefore look at that offer because it's really a public sector, private sector partnership to undertake or implement projects. So the terms of that partnership, that's what we should see. Where is therefore the terms of that partnership that we have to look at?
If I may, Madam Chair, we already sent the loan term sheet, the proposed term sheet. So on the financial side of it, we have already sent out the terms and conditions under the financing. But for the design and the build structure part, we haven't sent it out because we don't have the construction companies that will be bidding for the project yet. Because this is the first time that we have discussed the project with the
Madam Chair.
Mr. Mendoza.
Maybe we can after this initial meeting, we can set another meeting after the Sangguniang would have reviewed the documents, the emails exchanged between us as well as the documents they sent to us, in order for them to be better appraised as to the terms of the proposal. If that would be amendable to the body, we can request the Mr. Emoy and Sir Attorney if we can have another meeting, a similar Zoom meeting, probably next week, if that would be the place of the Sangguniang.
Yes, because
And would that be in the same session hall, or can it be in a separate venue? I mean, in a separate forum, or included na po sa agenda?
maybe here na lang.
Okay, within the
Session.
agenda. So, with that, Attorney and Sir Emoy, siguro we could reset another meeting by next week to
Next
give more
session?
time to the members to study the documents.
Yes, that is
Yes.
If I may, Madam Chair, I'm ready now to share the spreadsheet. To answer your question earlier about the interest rates that will be earned by your deposit in the government bank, as long as so the condition there is as long as the amortization, the annual amortization of the financing has been covered, whatever earnings or surplus of the amortization or the surplus of the ERA that is outside of the amortization for the year, that will be returned back to Naga City. And if you may, I would like to share with you the sample spreadsheet. The way we computed for the loanable amount of a certain city or municipality is we average the last 3 years of the year of a certain city or municipality. And then we multiply that by 24%. 24% is the projected increase that is made based on the study of the Office of the Senator Roco and the Philippine Institute for Development Studies. And then we multiply that by 11.3, which is the annuity factor based on the table of annuity factor that was given by the Bureau of Government Finance. And given that formula, we arrive at the loan principal amount, which is the suggested project cost of the city or municipality. And since this is a 15-year payable project for the LGU, we just have a straight line computation of the principal amount for 15 years. So for this example, the amortization of the principal per year is about 14.9 million pesos. 0.5% interest of that is 1.1 million pesos. So the total amortization per year is about 16,053,000. So assuming the total incremental ERA based on the Montana's case is 16.3 million pesos, the remaining amount of 304,000 pesos will be returned back to the coffers of the city or municipality. And since this is the assumption here is a straight line amortization and payment of principal and interest, the computation will be just the same for the next 50 years. So if the city or municipality elects to keep the remaining amount the first and after the succeeding certain years, to keep the remaining amount into the account to cover right away the full project cost that will be elected for the city or municipality. But as far as we are concerned on our computation, those remaining amounts will return back to the city or municipality. So it will remain as an option for you, for the city or municipality, if you will take back those remaining amounts or will keep it to the account until we have covered the remaining municipal payments. That's the simple explanation I can provide.
Okay, Madam Chair,
Okay, Mr. Mendoza?
we copy on that, attorney. Could we request that that document be emailed so that we can furnish the same to the members of the Sangguniang?
Yes.
Okay. Any other question, query from the members? Or we will just, okay, Honorable Rosales.
I would also like to request, if it's not too much to ask, details of other joint undertakings the institution has already entered into with other local government units. At least we can have a background of this financing institution. I know how the city government gets the background of institutions that we enter into undertakings with. So, like how we request documents with private NGOs, organizations that are requesting for accreditation in the city government. I'm just wondering why, in my research about the company, it does not even have a website. So if it can grant so much amount for loans, then at least we can have more information about the company. The same way that other banks are able to provide a more comprehensive information about their company. So that
Thank
is
you,
my
Honorable
request.
Rosales.
If I may rephrase, the request, Sir Emoy, is for registration documents of the firm, as well as
Background. Also, as well as
registration
the
documents and background,
then,
track record,
if they
as well
have
as
the
a
same
sample
proposal to the other LGUs.
contract with other LGUs.
Yes, contract with other LGUs. So we will also see how it goes.
Would that be okay, Attorney?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Okay, we'd like to thank Attorney and Mr. Francisco. And we hope that we can do this next week. If you can furnish us all the requested papers, information to the members of the Sangguniang Panglungsod.
Yes, Madam.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you also for your time, board members of the Sangguniang Panglungsod. Good morning.
Good morning and thank you. Okay. Next item,
Nominal vote.
Honorable Elmer Valdemoro.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, may I move that all the approved resolution and ordinance be transferred to nominal voting and approve the same.
Any second?
Motion to adjourn, Madam Chair.
Adjourn. May ba kitang paper? Ano ka ito?